The House of Dragons just might make a fan out of me yet. There will be spoilers ahead, just so you know, as we start talking about episode 3 of House of the Dragon. All right, so far this show, the first couple episodes, I was not quite as invested, but I was a little bit intrigued to see what's going to go and happen. Then episode 3 kicks off with a dude getting nailed to a cross, boom, boom, boom by the crab people. And he seems totally messed up, and they put some crabs on him to start eating away at him, and there's nothing he can do because he's nailed to a piece of wood, basically. But then his savior in the sky seems to be coming through on a dragon, and it's like, dude, you're on the team with the dragons, hell yeah. And so the dragon comes in, burning through, he's like, yes, my princess come to save me. And then the dragon just lands right on top of him. I was freaking dying at that. I loved that. I figured something like that might happen. I was like, oh, you're in the burn zone. You're in the blast zone. You're probably going to get burned alive. But nope, gets landed on. Could have been by accident. Could have been on purpose. Either way, that was kind of funny. And the guy is looking for the leader of the crab people. I'm just going to call them the crab people because that's pretty much what they are essentially. And yeah, Damon, he's looking for him, but he's on his dragon. And he's on the ground. He's landed on the ground. He's still on top of his dragon, though. He's got a little bit of armor on, so he's okay, somewhat protected. But he is quite exposed being on their turf and have landed his dragon now. You're very vulnerable for one, the dragon as well. Could be speared or trapped as somehow, maybe. It could be damaged. Easier to damage when it's closer to you and grounded. And he is also very vulnerable, and they fire a bunch of flaming arrows at them. They did not seem to affect the dragon much at all. Its hide, I guess, is pretty tough. Even its wings are pretty tough, and the wings were able to somewhat defend, block some of the arrows from hitting him. But he does get hit at least once with one of the arrows, and then takes it out. But didn't seem to be too damaged overall with it. But it did seem kind of weird with that, kind of a weird move. I think some other people thought so too. It was, if you're floating around, flying around the area instead probably would have been a better move. But it was an okay scene, but that is just awkward to see that. And then we go back to the king, and it is his son's second birthday. So a couple of years have gone by since episode 2. They're doing a little bit of time jumps here and there, but they pretty easily let you know that and what's going on in between, what's been happening for the last couple of years. And he clearly just wants to enjoy his son's birthday. He just wants to not think about freaking politics for once, because it seems like it's been a constant thing in his life. He seems so annoyed as anybody brings up anything about politics. He's just like, Jesus fucking Christ, can you just give me this day or two, a couple of days to enjoy my family, to enjoy this pleasures? Can we just not politic for a bit? I think what do you call it? Fucking politicking, or but he called it something else that was pretty fucking funny in the show. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of funny. And yeah, these other people are talking about the prospects of oh, your son should marry my daughter in the future, even though the son's only 2 years old, and whatever, however they're going to try to have that work. But it's all right. And the girl that he married was his daughter, the princess's best friend and handmaiden, kind of a thing. But now it's swapped to where the handmaiden is the queen and has rank over the princess. It's her mom, kind of. It's a very strange dynamic, which this show has done a good job at making it quite interesting. I feel like I might not have been paying attention as much as I should have in the first couple episodes. I'm watching all these episodes with the buddy, and the first couple episodes I thought were a little bit boring. But maybe on second watch, it'll be a little bit different, because by episode 3, I'm quite hooked right now. I am very hooked, and I'm liking the characters. I'm just watching a lot of the scenes. We weren't talking as much during this episode as we're watching it because we're invested in the scenes. So we're just like, whoa, okay, this is pretty good here. The king, especially, is growing on me as a character. I didn't really know if he was going to go that far. At first, I thought he was going to be a character that gets killed off, presented as a main character that gets killed, like Game of Thrones likes to do. But nah, dude, he's a likable dude. He's a dad. He's a king. He's trying to do what he can. His brother is, the enemy right now. He's got his daughter. His daughter is kind of angry and adrift right now because she thinks that she's going to be replaced by the son and whatnot. And he's got to worry about marriage arrangements and just all these different concerns all the time. And all he wants at the end of the day, he just wants to have just a moments with his family. He won't live forever. He's getting older, and there's all these threats around, and he wants to be able to see his family happy. He wants to be able to see them succeed, and he wants to leave them in a good place. So I'm liking this guy, and I'm liking how they're showing the story come about here. And then you go to the princess. You go to her. She's just reading a book, is separate from everybody else, away from the party, and just having some guy play some song for her. Like this, he voices to change the song, but she likes to hit it again. It's basically, yeah, hey Alexa, repeat the song for me. Play the same song again. Okay, sure. That's basically what's going on. And then the queen comes by and tells him to scram. The princess doesn't want him to, but the queen outranks him, so got to listen to her. And she seems to obviously be trying to salvage whatever type of friendship with the princess that she can, but it's very difficult because the princess is going through a lot right here. She doesn't want to be married off to whomever to strengthen whatever. She wants to enjoy life a bit. She doesn't want to be supplanted by the son. She just hates her best friend is now her mom / queen. She is not enjoying life right now. Is very much on the downside for her and very annoyed. Like whenever they talk to her, is it an order? Is it like nothing's normal anymore? And you can get that. I feel like a lot of people can understand that kind of dynamic being swapped upon you suddenly, and then this is how it is now. And so they're going to go on a hunt. They're going to go on to this event with some of the other houses and places in the kingdom and whatnot, where they're going to go on a hunt. And it's like a little event, and they're in the carriage. The newborn son, the queen, the dad, the princess, everybody. They're in there, and he just wants them to be happy and enjoy themselves. But the princess has just been angry as hell, and like there's just always these things going on still, and like he just wants her to can you just fucking be happy a little bit? And she's like, nope, not being happy right now. Nope, not with all this stuff. So there's that to deal with. And then like when they're at the hunt place, there's Jason Lannister, and apparently I've heard from other people that are more Game of Thrones people with the books that around this time period, the Lannisters were kind of the joke house. Like they weren't really as prominent as they were later, as we see in Game of Thrones. Tywin, I'm trying to get the names right. I think it was Tywin, the Charles Stance character or whatever. Like he pretty much helped that house rise to its glory position, I assume, in Game of Thrones. So it's other than that, prior to that, it's been a joke, I suppose. But so one guy tries to, strike up conversation with the princess, and they seem to be doing okay. But she can see through it though. She's like, God damn it, she just wants to, have fun and whatnot. And she gets kind of pissed off at this party, and there's some wine women talking about things and how there's war. And she go, oh, yes, we are at war, and blah, 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 like acting as if the princess is naive. And the princess is like, oh, yes, we're at war and things are troubling while you're sitting here stuffing your face with cake and wine. Like, it's just showing a little puppy eating some of the cake. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of how a lot of things are nowadays too. Like even us commentators, we comment on a lot of things going on, but how active are we in the process to end it? That's a little bit less than. And then she just goes on a horse, goes away, trying to get away from this party. And one of the guards notices her and chases after her. And he seems to be kind of a friend of her, and chases her for quite a bit. She's on the run for a little while. And they start the hunt, and the king has been drinking quite a bit, obviously, and it's kind of similar to Baratheon, of course. The kings like to drink, and they're about to go on a hunt. Stuff's probably not going to go too well in that regard, and they end up capturing an elk, and they get it all. It's all restrained essentially. They're all holding it down, and they're like, "All right, so the king gets to kill it, and he gets to stab it with one of the gifts given by the Lannisters." And the look on his face, I love this. The look on his face, he just looks so uninterested in the hunt. He seems like he just wants to go home and just, relax or something. He's just done with this. He does a little stab. It doesn't kill the elk. And they're all like, oh, just do it again, right about here and whatever. And then he takes a few more seconds of waiting, and he's just like, fuck, okay. And, he kills it, and everybody, applauds. Yay, you did it. Hooray. Even though it's kind of dumb with the sport and the sporting aspect anyway. But okay. And it might have skipped actually, but, they're at night. The princess and the guard, they went quite a bit away from the party with everything. And so they set up a little campfire at night, and they hear some noises, and it's the boars that are, on the way. Some of the wild hogs, they are they run through the camp real quick because I assume for the hunt, they're let loose and chasing around and stuff, and went right through their camp. And these dudes are fucking, they're tough, they're killers, they're freaking war hogs, and one of them almost pretty much could have almost killed the princess, but the guy was there to help her, and she gets like the finishing blow off of it, but still, she gets a little bloodied from it. And I like that little scene right there. It also shows that she's willing to, she's able to kill this thing, so she's got a little bit of that spirit in her, so she might become a warrior one of these days. Who knows? We might see. Based on her current past, she's definitely filled with anger and could do it. So we've got that there going. And it seems like she might have a potential, wanting relationship with this guy. She asks him if he's ever been like forced to marry, and he had the option of marrying like a common woman or something, not anybody in royalty, but he could have married somebody there. But yeah, I don't think he chose to yet or anything. And later, like the king and her finally have like a pretty good spat about about marriage and stuff, and she is just like, am I just your tool to be used and discarded, like to just be placed somewhere, like you're just trying to supplant me, and it's bad. And he's really trying to drive this, into her that no, he loves her and that he does not want to supplant her. He wants her to be happy and in his life, and wants her, he does want her to marry, but he understands about how she's feeling and doesn't want to have her hate him. So it's like, I want you to marry, but like marry who will strengthen you. Like, don't, it doesn't have to be about strengthening the kingdom. That's, he mentions that's what a lot of this usually is. And he seems annoyed of it too, in a way, even though he was forced to marry somebody, but that woman helped make him the man that he is now. So he was okay with that. And, but he's like, okay, pick who you want, you choose who will strengthen you the most. That's kind of how he words it, I think. I might be wrong on the wording, but it seemed to be what he was trying to say. And she seemed, somewhat okay with that, but still seemed annoyed with him still. So they're not still on great grounds at the moment. But it just, I love that drama right there. His dad's trying to be a good dad, and it's like you don't see that as often, or a father is being shown in good light, and then he's being trying to be meaningful, really, with his children. And I can just appreciate that. I like that. And then we get to this battle scene. There's the, the troops, Damon's troops are gathered together. They're trying to fight the crab people, and they're trying to look at their options of what they can do and what their resources are and what they can all accomplish here. And they intercepted a letter where the king is going to send like 2,000 men of reinforcements to the crab people. And the men at this point are like pretty much demoralized. They're like, fuck, really? Because they if they could just get some type of maneuver in on these guys, they can win. But then there's gonna be 2,000 more troops to fight. Fuck. Even though you have a dragon, it doesn't mean that you're gonna win the battle just immediately. There's more to it than that. But they do enact a plan to draw out some of the crab people so that they can get more kills off. So Damon goes in there alone with the peace flag and gets their attention, and a lot of them come out there, and then he uses this moment to ambush attack them. He surprisingly, I would say, the plot armor has protected him quite a bit in this scene here, where he's able to take on like 20 guys and win, but he does get hit with a couple of arrows. So he and Boromir have a lot in common now. And then his troops come in, and the dragon comes in, and they're able to kill a bunch of the crab people. And it was like, okay, that's okay, I guess. That was honestly probably the most boring part of the episode, to be honest, was this battle scene. It wasn't that spectacular. There wasn't like any character moments in there. It was just like, yeah, that happened, I guess. Whatever. Like, honestly, the episode was better without that in there, honestly. It was all the character stuff that we get to see with the rest of the episode was fantastic. I loved that. The battle was whatever, who cares? Anyway, House of Dragons is starting to get me intrigued here. I'm looking forward to this on Sunday nights now. I'm wanting to see this stuff. This is good. This is pretty good. This is a good refresher, especially with Rings of Power. I'm sure other people have made that comparison too. This is actually better than Rings of Power right now. So nice. Good on you, House of Dragons. It makes me want to finish watching Game of Thrones, because I think I only stopped around like almost to the end of season 4 of Game of Thrones. I never watched it all the way. So, yes, might get me back into that show and whatnot. But yeah, House of Dragons. Fuck yeah, it's pretty good. I recommend you check it out. See you later.